Hello and welcome back to another edition of Open Air Atheist. I'm James Theodore Stibble III, and the title of this episode is The Gospel of John Exposed. And what I've done is I've done some research on the Gospel of John. I've read through it, I've made some notes, and let's go ahead and get started. I've got a lot of ground to cover. This video is basically about the part of really one of two videos. One after this one is going to be called The Resurrection Exposed. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this who are watching this video, but there are 63 internal contradictions in what occurred in the last 3 days. That is, from Jesus' crucifixion to his supposed resurrection. So let's go ahead and get started. The Christian response is, of course, that these aren't contradictions, just different information and points of view of the same events. But this answer, though a fair one, doesn't work for all of the contradictions, and it is those contradictions I will be dealing with for this video and the next video. Okay. According to most Christians, the Last Supper was a Passover Seder. If the Last Supper was a Passover Seder, then on what day was Jesus' crucifixion on? Those of you who are not familiar with the chronology of events, let's say the Passover Seder was tonight. Jesus is crucified the very next day, although there is a disagreement about what time of day it occurred. But according to the New Testament, Jesus is crucified the very next day. So, if tonight is the Seder, then tomorrow has to be the first day of Passover. According to Matthew, Mark, and Luke, the Last Supper was a Passover Seder. And we see it there. The bread is broken, the wine is there, and even the dipping. Therefore, according to the first 3 Gospels, Jesus was crucified on the first day of Passover, which would be the 15th day of Nisan. But the 4th Gospel, that is the Gospel of John, has Jesus' crucifixion taking place on the eve of Passover, or the preparation day of Passover, or the day before Passover, or the day, Nisan, or the 14th day of Nisan. Excuse me. Those two things cannot both be true. Okay. In the book of John, 14:19 states it was the eve of Passover when Jesus was crucified. John has Jesus crucified on the 14th day of Nisan. Was John's Last Supper a Passover Seder? No, it couldn't possibly be. And that's why if you take a look at John chapter 13 and examine his version of the Last Supper, you'll note there's no wine and no matzah and no dipping either. Does anyone know what happened in John's version of the Last Supper? There's no Seder, just Jesus washing feet, and only in John's Gospel is Judas using money to pay for the feast. But according to the other 3 Gospels, they already ate the feast. John 18:28, the Jews bring Jesus to the front of Pontius Pilate's home and refused to enter because they had to remain clean so that they could eat the Passover. Eat the Passover? Again, I thought they already ate the Passover last night. Oh no, not in John's Gospel. And to give you a little background information on that, to understand why the Jews wouldn't enter the home of Pontius Pilate, you have to understand that he was a Gentile, and that Gentiles often kept, they buried their dead inside of their homes. So the Jews could not enter a home of a Gentile if there was a dead body in there and remain ritually clean for the Passover. Why is John having Jesus crucified on the eve of Passover, unlike the other three Gospels? There is a very simple reason for this, and that is John had a montage to create. Again, let me restate that. Why is John having Jesus crucified on the eve of Passover, unlike the other three Gospels? There is a very simple reason for this, and that is that John had a montage to create. You see, John was written in the beginning of the 2nd century, and he had a problem. He was looking at a church that was emerging from the crucible of the Jewish people to the Gentile world. A Gentile world that worshipped the slaughter of bulls and lambs. And he wanted to fuse together the pagan notion of worshiping the lamb and the slaughtering of the lamb together with the Passover lamb. Notice the only place in the New Testament where Jesus is equated with the Passover lamb is in the book of John and the books that were written by John. Note, only in the book of John does John the Baptist refer to Jesus as the Lamb of God, John 1:36. And in John 19:34 through 37, John has the Roman soldier pierce Jesus' side instead of breaking his legs, because no one is allowed to break a bone of the Passover lamb. Note also when he quotes from the Old Testament, and not a bone of him will be broken. Not only if you go back and you read that verse that he's quoting from the Old Testament, you'll see that it's taken out of context, obviously, if you read that. Because only John is equating Jesus with the lamb, therefore it wouldn't make sense in any other of the three Gospels. Only John wanted to make Jesus the Lamb of God. Remember John chapter 20? All this was written because I am transmitting truth in history? No. Oh no. So that you might believe. John wants to convert others to Christianity and nothing more. And that's what I have to say about the Gospel of John. Tune in next for the Resurrection Exposed, when we compare the Gospel of John with the Gospel of Matthew. Stay tuned.